Good to be here today, Vinnie. So my name is Daniela Sellmann. I'm running the utilities industry at SAP globally. Happy to be here today, and I brought along another colleague of mine, which is Kim.
Yeah, hi, my name is Maren Ekrutt. I'm the Head of Innovation and Sustainability within Daniela's team, and happy to be here for this session today.
Daniela and Kim, Daniela, we've talked before. I'm looking forward to this, and happy to have you too, Kim, to talk about, the green transition and give a fuller perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start just to briefly tell our audience, we'll start with a brief intro on what's happening right now in the utility space, what are we seeing, what's our strategy, and then go into the energy transition part and what we're doing in terms of sustainability. So let me briefly start. So this year, in 2022, we have seen a huge disruption of energy supply chains, which got even worse by the Ukraine war that has been forced upon, their consequences have been forced upon whole Europe in terms of diversifying energy portfolios for most of the energy providers. We also had extreme weather events looking at floodings in Australia, New Zealand, the US, and also an extreme drought crisis that started beginning of March already in Europe. It's been one of the most severe crises in terms of drought that we have seen here. And that for sure, if our energy providers are not doing fine and our utilities are not doing fine, we'll see an economic pressure throughout all of the other industries as well, because utilities is really at the center of everything that happens. So we see increasing prices also in the manufacturing area, for example. Because we saw a lot of those challenges and changes this year, we would rather consider business in the future as unusual instead of usual.
Well, Daniela, we're releasing the Peter Meyer and Thomas's book on December the 20th. I interviewed you for that. So yes, it's very appropriate, business as unusual. It's kind of frustrating that people still talk about, oh, I wish we were back in 2018 or 2019. You have to tell them, between COVID and Ukraine and climate change, we're not going back. We gotta think forward. So thank you.
Absolutely, because it's super important to understand how to navigate through disruption and to master business as unusual. There are a few things that came up when we're having our conversations with our utilities customers, where would say there are a few things you should discontinue right away and a few things which you need to invest in. And let me start with the thing that's really at the bottom of my heart, and that is mindset and people topic. So really invest into proper change management when you go through the transformation, because if you're losing your employees and everything you want to do, you cannot do the transformation successfully. And we have seen many big projects fail just because this component has not been considered. And then going through change, also the operating model becomes super important. And this is where it gets really difficult in changing it, because this is something that has been created over the last years. And changing this means a big mind shift for most of the companies. And this also means touching your processes. So in the future, we do not want to speak about front or back office anymore, but we want to speak about end-to-end processes, because this is how our customer base thinks as well. So this is something that we need to invest in. And then data is the foundation for everything we do. So we believe that the one source or single source of truth that we need to have is necessary in order to write predictions and to act upon information that are transparent to the top management, but also transparent to all of the other levels or hierarchies in a company, because you can only do informed decisions when you know your data and your data is correct. So this is why this is really the foundation of everything that you do. And then in the utilities area, when we look at how does SAP strategy and utility strategy come together, it really is the topic of business transformation. And here on the one side, our utilities will still continue doing everything they have done today. So they will still run the commodity processes. They will close contracts. They will make sure that they supply energy. They still measure the consumptions. They bill their customers, and they also respond to service incidents from their customers. But at the same time, they need to make sure that they run their commodity processes super lean and cost efficient and resource efficient in order to transform really with next practices. And this is where the music and the magic and the innovation happen, because here we see everything right now that we have been seeing in front of the meter turning around, and the customer is no longer behind the meter, but oh, sorry, I think I switched it up. So everything that we have been seeing traditionally behind the meter now becomes front or in front of the meter. And this is how, when we look at distributed energy resources, our flexumers, so customers creating their own energy, but also consuming their own energy, are now becoming the central part of everything that happens. And we need to integrate them into our energy transition part in order to make it possible, because most of the countries in Europe do not have access to natural resources on a high scale, dependent on the flexumer that either moves along with the utilities or stays behind. And this is why we at SAP...
So Daniela, I have heard the term prosumer because they're also producing and consuming. Are you using flexumer more now?
We do, yeah, I would definitely say we do. I think it's still future music, as we say in German, but it's something where everyone's looking at, because now we just did it, created a solar panel on our roof, having a heat pump installed, and then in the best case, I'm autonomous when it comes to energy creation, but in the best case, I can sell it back when I have surplus, or at least share it with my neighbors that might not have a PV installation, and then I'm a flexumer.
You know, there's a lot of talk about energy independence, and that's at the country level. I've been telling people that Germany, it's at the individual level, right? Because like you say, each one of you is starting to be your own producer. And God, that is such a good feeling to not be dependent on a government or a utility for that. I'm sure the utilities don't want to hear it, but it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, I think still it's a long way to go, because in order to make this happen, we need to have intelligent grids. We need to have the proper installations in place, smart meters roll out everywhere. And when we look at smart meter rollout in Europe, it's still far behind where it actually should be. So we missed the goal of 80% in 2020, and I think the next goal of 80% is 2028. So long way to go here. But coming back to an SAP point of view, because as I said, this is really where we come together. So optimize best practice and transform with next practice. What we are doing from an SAP standpoint, and this is really on the left side, our product strategy that we developed. We broke down our product strategy and formed a specific offering for utilities. Our offering is there now. It was released in July. It's called SAP Utilities Core, and we really try to apply everything that I mentioned before. So we apply an end-to-end process, which is the meter-to-cash process. We apply best practices from the commodity processes and add innovation elements already that are based on our business technology platform. So really the platform that can extend and integrate other partner solutions, but also custom-built solutions. And this has a solid foundation of operations inside. It's based on RISE with SAP, so it has our S/4HANA utility system as core system, and it's guided by transformation and predefined content. So our customers really have an accelerator and lever to move to the cloud quickly and safely, and with a reliable partner to the cloud. And we scale via our partners, which is a super important element of our strategy as well. And then when we look at how can we improve or create our commodity processes more efficient, we now then step into the area where we created where we freed our budget and resources in order to invest into innovation products or new services that our energy providers or retailers, distributors have to build for our end customers. And this is really where we offer the business technology platform as a solid foundation, because we believe that you need to have a reliable and flexible system at the same time. And how do you add flexibility so that the efforts on customer sides are being reduced? So this is why we are leveraging the business technology platform, and we leverage applications within our industry cloud umbrella. This is something where partners build solutions, where we as SAP build solutions, but also customers build our solutions, and where we also leverage innovations from startups. I mentioned one here, which is Ekrutt. I really like the startup because it's actually creating an application that enables energy communities. So exactly what we have been speaking about from a Flexima point, share the energy within your neighborhood and make sure that you bill it in the end, and that is directly linked to our system, to our SAP billing system again. So you have no process breaks and you really think end to end. This is what I love.
Is this part of the Foundries startup cohort, or is that separate?
Ekrutt separate, but there are a lot of utilities startups also from the SAP IO Foundry.
Yeah.
And from there, and Kim, this is where I hand over to you. For us, it's super important to keep in mind that sustainability and energy transition is not just driven by our utilities core products that we're offering, but also is a central part to our strategy at SAP.
Yes. And maybe just to give a simple reminder, we are celebrating the 7th birthday in a couple of days of the Sustainability Development Goals of the UN. And at that time, when they were launched, they seemed a bit like for the hipster corner, and people were laughed about wearing maybe the goals on their pullover to share that they support these goals. But SAP was one of the first big DAX companies jumping on and saying, we support these 17 goals. We have specific goals, we can work into it, and which I like most is partnerships for the goals, but because this is what we aim for with our customers and our partners. But what we see now is that we have a shift from this, it's a nice to have, and we have people thinking it's nice, to become a business priority. So when it was at the beginning, kind of, if we want to talk about sustainability, we were in a niche within the customers area and maybe some partners. Now people and customers and partners are actively reaching out to us as a company, how we can support their areas within the business. And if you show the next slide, Daniela, you already said we're in the center of the process. And I would go even faster and further. Without water, which is a very precious good, and we are realizing it more and more how precious it is, without a good waste management, which leads into circular economy, and without sustainable energy, no other industry will ever be sustainable or be able to deliver sustainable products. So this is a big opportunity for us, which we support for sure, and at the same time, a big pressure for change within our companies and customers. So
I'm glad you're touching on water. It seems like we focus so much on the energy side of sustainability. We don't talk enough about water, but it's almost more important, right? Given all the shortages we're starting to see. And
I fully agree. Yeah. That's why we made it also a priority for next year.
You already see I'm surrounded by water. And what we see more and more is, Daniela already mentioned the drought we had. That is, if the weather changes, the climate conditions change, we don't have enough water to grow our goods, to receive wheat, to bake bread or something in that area. And especially in the Western world, we are just too confident to use water because there's enough coming out of the sink. So this is why we really focus on water and put it on the highest priority for next year. Well, but sustainability.
Kim and Daniela, if both of you are going to be at Sapphire in Orlando, I'd like to take you to a place called Christmas, Florida, like the Christmas. Orlando has a natural wastewater treatment. They bought 1,250 acres, and the water enters at one end and leaves 40 days later. So all that has become now a birding haven. 300 different species of birds show up because it is just full of water, alligators, birds. I mean, it's like we take a safari there when you come to Orlando. It's only it's only 20 miles from the convention center. So I'll take you there.
Sounds like a plan. So sustainability is a team sport, is what we say and share as a message, and it's a journey. And this is more important. It's not a destination where you can say, we do these 3 steps and then we are ready, but we see certain levels within the business transformation and value creation for sustainability, where I just want to share some customer examples. So maybe you're at that stage that you first of all want to meet global compliance and regulations, your CO2 footprint. Even going into the cloud, choosing RISE for SAP like GasNet did, can support you in this goal, as our data centers running on carbon neutral energy, just to give one example. Vinnie, you highlighted water, and this is why I really like having the Faris example on my slide, because they build sustainability into their core business processes. And the CIO said at the IUC, water is the most circular good we have in the world. And this is why we have to protect it and learn and teach our users and customers how to use it more efficiently and how to lower the average rate of water usage in their life. And last but not least, they need to change. Our customers have to create new products to get more sustainable or to deliver more sustainable processes to their consumers and customers. And Centrica is a customer who used the business technology platform to enable within their local market and energy community between their own customers. So they created a platform where you can share your electricity you've created with your solar panel to your neighbors as well, and have already a little community at that point. But as Daniela already pointed out, we have partners who established this process to be adopted for all of our customers to partner with Ekrutt at that stage. But maybe not last but not least, so the first step usually is to fulfill global compliances and regulations. And the most asked question is, what shall we do with the upcoming ESG reporting pressure we have? And the easiest and fastest answer from our point of view is SAP Sustainability Control Tower. So coming from having a bunch of Excels to actual data gathering within the tool, and more or less having audit ready the ESG KPIs within the box, from the box, you can develop within a couple of weeks your own ESG reporting to fulfill every regulation. But the best in it is, it's closely connected to what you're doing within your company. So it's embedded into your business processes that you can even learn where you can improve and have an online tracking on how you improved during the last days. These are only a couple of things we could share during this time, but we have for sure some possibilities to meet and connect you next year. So Daniela, maybe handing back to you.
Thank you. What I really like, Kim, about your example for Faris and Centrica is that both are built on BTP. So this is, Vinnie, for you, just as a reminder, an example of how does innovation on the business technology platform within the industry cloud umbrella really looks like. And where also and that's what's super special about Faris, where also our customers are working together. So it's actually 3 customers working together to jointly make the smart water platform reality. And they can share resources, they can increase efficiency by doing that. So that's a really good example. And yeah, now coming to the International SAP Conference for Utilities, Vinnie, where we hope to see you in Basel. That's an invitation not just for you, but to everyone that listens and that wants to discuss new trends in energy transition and how we can support utilities, our utilities doing it. Highly welcome to join us there.
You know, it sounds really exciting. Switzerland is such a beautiful place. Kim, I was really pleased to see you had compliance, but you also had moving up the value chain, right? Too many vendors just talk about ESG and forcing it down the customers. You're required to do it. It's a much easier sale when you can show them, hey, you can make money from this, right? So in the book, Daniela, I wish we had included a utility example, but I included a chemical example, Eastman, where they talked about molecular recycling of plastics, right? It's a business opportunity for them. Those things attract executives a lot more. So I'm glad you are not just focusing on compliance. But no, Basel sounds wonderful.
Very good. Looking forward to see you there, Vinnie.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim and Daniela. Very, very nicely done.